How's it going, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Top Buy, Top Sell here in the A1 Edge Finder, where we're going to go over our number one buy setup and our number one sell setup currently listed in the Edge Finder. Now, if you guys are familiar with these videos, you know that we normally take a look at two different things, either COT data and retail sentiment or the AAII investor sentiment survey and the put call ratio before we actually go into the data scanner pages and break them down further from there. But today we're going to do something a little bit different. Before we get into all that though, I just want to show off this quick little update that we have in the Edge Finder for all my Edge Finder users here. You'll notice that all of these assets here on the left side are now hyperlinked. So beforehand, if you wanted to break down a asset in the data scanner page, you had to come over to the data scanner tab, select what category you wanted to look at. For example, if it was Euro USD, you'd go into Forex and you'd go find Euro USD from there, and you can take a look at all of the data, all of the numbers backing up whatever score it has. Now we have this hyperlink so that you can actually click right on the asset. I just clicked on gold there, and it'll take you into the data scanner page right from the top setups page. We just think it's a little bit more convenient, a nice little addition to the Edge Finder, so I wanted to show that off really quickly. But let's go back on into top setups. I'm going to remove any neutral biases that we might have. And there we go. So here is our full list of bullish and bearish setups for the day. Right now we have 5 very bullish biases listed in the Edge Finder. Aussie USD, Aussie NZD, Aussie CAD, gold, and Euro USD, all getting very bullish readings. And we have 5 bearish readings in the Edge Finder right now. Just one very bearish reading here, USD ZAR with that score of -10. So right now, technically Aussie USD and USD ZAR are our number one buy and number one sell setups of the day. Again, before we break down those a little bit further, we're going to check out COT data and retail sentiment, and then we're going to get into something new. So don't go anywhere, because we are going to show off a new feature, or not a new feature here, but something that we haven't talked about in a while that I think you guys will find really interesting. But again, before we get into that, let's check out COT data first. And I should say this, COT data, the COT data report has not yet been released. So last week we had a big holiday week in the United States. It was the 4th of July on Thursday. And so the COT data report has not been released yet. This is not an Edge Finder issue or anything. It's just the document containing the COT report has not been released yet. The Edge Finder is automatically checking for it every 12 hours, so it checks twice a day for updated COT information so that it can get it as quickly as possible, as soon as it's released. But again, this information just has not been released yet. So this is slightly dated COT material. However, typically when new COT reports come out, the changes aren't too drastic. So things that are, favored on the short side are typically still on the short side. Vice versa, if it's on the long side, it's typically still on the long side. It takes a little while for them to move from one, bias to another. So this information is still useful. However, I just wanted to get this out of the way that yes, the COT data has not been released yet to the public. So it has not been updated since the week before. But again, still useful information to take a look at either way. So let's start off here with our short side. We see the Swiss franc, the Japanese yen, and the Canadian dollar are clearly the 3 most shorted assets from institutional traders, with the Swiss franc being the most short out of all of them at 86.47%. On the other side, we see some commodities here: silver, oil, and gold. Gold being the most long out of all of them, with 88.05% of open positions right now on gold are long from COT traders. We see stuff like the dollar here favored on the long side as well at 68.89%. The pound favored on the long side as well at 63%, but the euro is sitting more closer to 50-50, 51% short, 48% long, so pretty undecided here on the euro. Let's check out latest weekly COT filing. So again, this is one of my favorite things to look at in the Edge Finder. This actually compares the last COT report to the most recent COT report, and it's looking for changes. How many long contracts were added or taken away? how many short contracts were added or taken away, and then you can see the net change percentage here. So I'll give you an example of that with the Australian dollar here up at the top. 5.87% net change on the Australian dollar from the last COT report to our most recent COT report. So what we actually saw when comparing those two reports against each other was 8,921 total long contracts were opened on the Australian dollar, whereas 9,059 short contracts were closed on the Australian dollar. We can see the total long and short percentage here on the Australian dollar does still slightly favor the short side, 57% short compared to 42% long. So kind of close to 50-50, but still kind of favored on the short side. However, again, that sentiment seems to be changing week by week with this large number of long contracts opened and this large number of short contracts closed. So whenever this new COT report does come out at some point this week, I'm curious to see if that trend continues with more long contracts getting opened, more short contracts getting closed, and then maybe we'll see this long percentage tick up a little bit. But again, it's going to take a while before it gets into that bullish territory. However, if COT data week by week is continuing to move closer and closer into that long category, that's definitely something to keep an eye out for. So that's an example of how you read this chart here. I'll let you guys pause the video if you want to take a closer look into this. We have all of these assets listed here, again comparing last COT report to the most recent COT report, but I'm going to go ahead and move on into retail positioning. Did you know that we have 100% free trading tools and data available for you on our website, a1trading.com right now? We have free courses for you to browse. You can also check out things like retail sentiment and free articles from our analyst Frank that include things like Edgefinder screenshots and trade setups. You can find all of this and so much more for free right now on our website, a1trading.com. So I'm going to go with major currency pairs only to start off with. And here we go. So right now, when it comes to day traders, the retail traders, the overall crowd of the market, we see that they're overall favored on the long side for USD CAD and USD CHF. That is giving us a bearish indicator here, where on the other side, we see the NZD USD, USD JPY, Aussie USD, Euro USD, and Pound USD are all favored on the short side, which is a bullish indicator for us. Let's check out minor currency pairs next. So again, these two up top, Euro Pound and Euro Aussie, are two pairs favored on the long side, up over 60%. Bearish indicator for us there. And all of these pairs here are being favored on the short side by the crowd, by day traders, and that is a bullish indicator for us. Let's check out metals, indices, crypto, and commodities. I'll remove minor currency pairs. And there we go. Here is the rest of our assets. So again, day traders, the crowd is favored long on all of these assets here. That is a bearish indicator for us. And the Nikkei and the S&P 500, they are favored short on. That is a bullish indicator for us. And I should say that, again, it's just an indicator. That doesn't mean that just because the crowd is favored, long on something, if the crowd is favored long on silver right now, that doesn't mean that you should just go short silver, because silver as of recently has been in an uptrend. So shout out to all the silver bulls out there that are making good trades on silver. This is just an indicator because the majority of the time the crowd does typically get it wrong when it comes to trading. So that's why we have a contrarian signal for whatever the day traders, whatever retail is doing. So let's go back on into top setups. Our number one buy setup right now technically is Aussie dollar. However, if I had to guess, I would say most people would rather me talk about gold. Gold seems to be like the most popular asset across the board, and it's just 1 point below it. So why don't I check out gold? And then USD ZAR is clearly the most short here, so we'll definitely check out USD ZAR. So instead of doing the typical data scanner breakdown page video, I'm going to show off a tab that we haven't talked about in a long time, but it's a really cool, really interesting tab nonetheless, and it's the Smart Money indicator right here. So this actually compares what COT data is doing compared to what retail is doing. And not only that, but this white dotted line here, we can actually see is the actual price chart for, excuse me while I highlight all of this so we can see the whole thing. The dotted line here is the actual price chart for whatever asset you have selected. So right now we have Euro USD selected. This is the price chart for Euro USD dating all the way back to April 9th and all the way up to present day, July 8th. And what we can see here is with this red line, retail positioning, if the red line is up above this zero here, this neutral line running straight through the middle here, if it's up above that line, we know that they are bullish. And if it is below that line, we know that they are bearish. The higher up above that line it is, the more bullish they are, and vice versa. The lower it is below that zero line, we know that they are more bearish. Same thing goes with COT data. COT data is represented by the blue line. So again, if the blue line is up above zero, we know that they are overall bullish, and vice versa. If it is below that zero line, we know that they are overall bearish on that asset. So let's take a look at gold first, just to start off with. And let's compare what COT data is doing compared to what retail positioning is doing. So COT data makes it pretty easy for us. They've been very long gold for a very long time. In fact, just recently did their position start to shift on gold a little bit, still favored pretty heavily up above that zero line there, just not quite as heavily long as they were during this insane gold rally here. But gold has been peaking, spiking up higher as of late, and they are still considered bullish on gold. Retail sentiment has been bullish on gold over the past couple of days, but they are losing confidence in gold right now, and they are basically right at neutral. They're about as close to neutral as you can be. Let's show an example here where you see two different sides of the gold story. So when we go all the way back to this first huge gold rally that we had in the month of May, we can see that COT data held strong and was long the entire time, whereas retail traders were bouncing between bullish and bearish pretty much all the way throughout. We can see at the start of the gold rally here, retail was actually bearish on gold. And then as it continued to move higher, they decided that they were long on gold. It had a little bit of a pullback, and retail traders lost confidence, began to sell. They were bearish. They got a little bit bullish again as it moved higher, but they thought that was the top, and they got really, really bearish on gold, and they held that bearishness all the way up until gold finally started to sell off. But they were bearish from March 15th all the way up until, May 15th all the way up to May 23rd. And from May 15th all the way to May 20th, gold continued to move higher until it finally started to collapse a little bit. Then they just kind of bounced around near the neutral area, sometimes peaking up into the bullish area, sometimes peaking below into the bearish area, but as of recently have been a little bit more bullish, but today they're sitting kind of neutral. COT data, again, has been very bullish throughout this entire gold run here, but has lost a little bit of confidence as of recently. Now let's break down USD ZAR. I'll search for it here, USD ZAR, and let's compare retail and COT on this chart. So USD ZAR has been in quite a downtrend for some time. June 7th, we saw a huge push lower before it popped back up for a little bit. And over the last 5 days or so, it has continued to fall apart. What do we see out of retail traders? Well, actually we see something similar out of retail and COT. Both were bullish during this time, which is interesting to see, but looks like the retail traders actually caught some of this bearish move. It peaked here on July 3rd before continuing to fall to the upside, and that caused retail traders to lose confidence and dip on into the bearish zone here. So if you caught this bearish move from July 4th to present day July 8th, congratulations, but it looks like they're starting to gain a little bit of bullish momentum back. However, they're still pretty far below this zero line here, so they're definitely still favored. Short overall. Whereas interestingly, COT got really bullish on USD ZAR during this initial move higher that has since kind of collapsed. We'll see if it bounces off maybe this level of support here and then starts making a run back towards the upside. Maybe COT is just catching it really early. I would not be surprised if that were the case. But yeah, right now it seems like the day traders are beating out the COT traders when it comes to USD ZAR. So shout out to all the day traders out there. So there we go. I thought you guys might like seeing the smart money indicator. It's just one of many different tabs that we have available here in the Edge Finder. And if you want to try the Edge Finder for yourself, you can find a link to Edge Finder trials down in the description below or on our website, a1trading.com. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and we will see you back in the next one.
Did you know we do a live trading show Monday through Friday with guests from all over the world? To get notified when we go live, click the bell button next to the subscribe button or check in at 9:30 a.m. Eastern Time. We have helpful, free content in the description below and on our website, a1trading.com. Thanks for watching today's video, and we'll see you tomorrow.